of the Monica Gardner Legacy Diabetes Ministry, and I want to welcome you all today. Today we're going to do a session on nutrition and diet, basically. Our speaker is going to be Dr. Sylvia Ruff. She's been a nurse for 35 years. Her focus is on health and prevention. And, we welcome you to the Diabetes Ministry, support group. I'd like to just thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. We can't do this without people coming. I'd like to ask Brother Ruff to come up and do a word of prayer, and then Dr. Sylvia will begin.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your love, your mercy, your grace, and your faithfulness, Heavenly Father. You are God beside thee, there is none other. Lord, we ask you to open our minds and hearts up today, Heavenly Father, to listen to the word that Dr. Ruff is going to present, Heavenly Father. And remind us that we are still thinking about our body, our mind, and our spirit, and how our focus needs to be on how we can be more like you, Heavenly Father, by the way we eat, the way we sleep, and the way we do things, Heavenly Father. Lord, we ask you to bless this session and that people will learn, and most of all, be aware that we want a perfect
paper, you're gonna hand these out to other people you know, because we have a small audience here today, but there's a large audience of people who are suffering from diabetes, who are one step from diabetes, who are in denial of diabetes, who hear the word and they want to run. But you're here because you know you can do something about this. This disorder can literally be fixed. Will it go away? No. Can you live your entire life healthy? Yes. Yes, you can. So on this little slip of paper, it's my introduction, it says risk factors for pre-diabetics and type 2 diabetes. Because that's our focus, type 2 diabetes, the preventive type. So there's hope, right? Well, we say, let's keep hope alive. The only way to keep hope alive is we have to do something. This is a huge church, and look how many people we have here. Do you think that you all are the only people impacted by diabetes? No, that's why we're taping. We're going to give you a little privacy. We want people to pick up this tape. We want people to look at this and think. So on this slip it says, risk factors for pre-diabetics. Weight, the more fatty tissue you have, the more resistant your cells become to insulin. Inactivity, the less active you are, the greater your risk. Family history, that means genetics. We can't do anything about genetics, can we? But we can do something about weight. Race, can't do anything about race. If you are a brown person, not just African Americans, we're talking Latin people, we're talking brown people, we're talking Asian people. Age, the older you get, the higher your risk for type 2 diabetes. So 40 and up. Gestational diabetes. If you had a child and you suffer from gestational diabetes, your risk is higher that you will get type 2 diabetes. Not guaranteed, understand. None of this makes it a guaranteed. That's why we're going to talk about nutrition. Polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, a lot of people say, what is that? That is a disorder that young women get. And believe it or not, that makes them a higher risk for type 2 diabetes. High blood pressure. People are not aware that if you already have hypertension, you're at a higher risk for type 2 diabetes. So these little cut up weird papers that I gave you, you should have more than one, because what I want you to do is share this information. This is why we're taping. We have to share this information. We have to take responsibility of not only our health, but the health of our families, of other people we see. Are we responsible for other people? No. Can we make an impact? Yes, and that's what we want to do. And that's why we call this a support group. There's some people in here that don't have diabetes, but a loved one does. There's some people in here that want to make a difference, and that's why we're here. So today's topic is going to be nutrition, healthy diet. And a lot of people said, okay, we're going to talk about a diabetes diet. There's no such thing, people. There's no such thing as a diabetic diet. That is a healthy diet that every single one of us should be on. I think that's where the stigma comes. I don't want to be labeled. I don't want to be labeled with a disease. You are not a disease. You are a human being. You are created by God. You are God's gift. So our coping group has a theme: healthy mind, body, and spirit. Can we separate those? We shouldn't, but sometimes we do. We'll come to church, we'll praise the Lord, and we'll forget about our body. We'll forget about our mind. Okay, if I ask everybody in here, and you don't have to be a health professional, what is a healthy diet? I bet you know. What's a healthy diet? Vegetables. Vegetables. What else? Fruits. She just said something that tastes good. Okay. Oh, there's the mind working. So how do we determine what tastes good? Because it feels good. So we eat because of the mind. So our mind is telling us it's good for us. So vegetables taste good to me. Okay? Fruit tastes good to me. Okay? So then we have to work with our minds. But what in history do we think tastes good to us? Huh? Burgers. Junk food. Sugar. I was watching TV last night. French fries. I was watching TV last night. And I'm thinking, preparing myself for this presentation. And I looked at the commercial. Do you know every commercial was burgers, pizzas, Taco Bell? It happened, I counted 50. Okay? Now, Healthy 2020 is a federal project to get rid of diabetes, to get people to eat healthier, to decrease the cost of medicine, to change the problem we have in our community that African Americans have a greater risk for everything. Okay? How many of you know about Healthy 2020? Did that flash? He does. Did that flash? Did that, I mean, really, did that flash on the TV? How many did you see? Grapes, vegetables, water? Did you see any of that on television? Okay, so who's in control of your mind? Okay. Who's telling you what tastes good? McDonald's. And what's so funny is, you know, you go to let's say a Chinese restaurant in United States or a Mexican restaurant in United States. Have you ever noticed that they're serving the food, but when they go back in the kitchen, they're eating something else? Have you ever noticed that? They don't eat what they serve. Okay? So let's look about the mind and the spirit. Okay? And we all say, that's what tastes good. Somebody else told you what tastes good. TV told you what tastes good. We came from a place that had what? Fruits, vegetables, grains. We definitely didn't overeat because we had little food. I mean, if we look in our genetics or where we came from originally, that was not us, okay? And spiritually, the Bible tells us what we should eat, right? So the key is we all know, we just don't do. We know that we need to eat a balanced meal, and that is what a diabetic diet is. We need fruits, we need vegetables, we need grains, we need forms of carbs, okay? We need simple carbs. So when we go in the grocery store, every time we go in the grocery store now, shop the perimeters. On the perimeters, you'll see dairy. We need dairy. You'll see meats in the back, okay? You also see fruits and vegetables over here. What's in the middle? Processed foods. Food you don't know what's in it, okay, unless you read a label, okay? And I have information about how to read those labels. But why bother with the label? Just eat the food. You know what it is, okay? When you go to a restaurant, and let's say you get a meal, do you know what's in it? But you know it tastes good. How do they make it taste good? They add sugar, salt, fat, and butter. Okay, which is fat. They add to it to make it feel good. Okay, and you notice I said feel good. When you watch commercials, it's more than just the food. They make you feel good. So mind, body, and spirit. So now we know what a healthy diet is. It is a balanced diet. It also is a portioned controlled diet. So, I thought something happened there. Hey, devil was after it. Especially when I said portion control. How many people feel cheated if they don't get a pile of food on their plate? Okay, you can't even eat all of that food. Hey, don't go there. They skimp on the food. You can't eat that food. So why do you want to? And when you pile it up high, guess what you do? You overeat. So if you're going to eat in a restaurant, and especially ones that everybody says is a good restaurant because they have good servings, those are usually cheap restaurants. Have you noticed that? You go to an expensive restaurant, you get a small plate, and you get very small servings. The food tastes very good, but you don't get a lot of it. And you pay a lot of money for it. But we like to go to cheap restaurants that add a lot of sugar, that give you the largest portion ever, and one plate, you could divide it up, take it home, and feed your entire family. It's the truth. And then we throw it away. I sometimes think about countries that have no food, and what we put in the garbage could feed these countries. Okay. So we're going to keep thinking about healthy mind, body, spirit. And don't get tricked. You know, a lot of times we say, and I'm guilty of that, oh, the devil did that. Oh, the devil's out there. The devil did that. You know, I don't think the devil got to do much. We all got a purpose in life. God has a purpose in life. And we are willing to kill ourselves by eating too much, not paying attention to what we are consuming, not being mindful, okay, and letting something else control us, our mind. and that's food. Why should food control us? We don't want people controlling us, do we? Why should the media control us? Believe me, if you watch that TV, it goes into your brain, and it tells you what's good. It tells you you're being deprived when you eat healthy, okay? So, you have this one handout says, Diabetes Diet, create your healthy eating plan. The key is healthy eating plan. The hundreds of people that should be here in this class, and the reason why we're taping is because they're thinking, oh, I'm not diabetic. I can eat what I want. And they're looking at you like, well, you know, you got the sugar. You're going to get the sugar. Because that's what happens. That is what happens. It's truly what happens. If you would look at the statistics of United States of America and the crises, and this is a crisis we have with type 2 diabetes. We have children getting type 2 diabetes. So they're like 12, and they're not suffering from type 1. They have eaten so much junk that now they have type 2 diabetes. Now, if they start at 12, how long do you think they're going to live? They're dying in their 20s. This is happening today. So we all, that's why you have many sheets of paper, we all have a responsibility to get the word out. Get the word out. So, when you already have type 2 diabetes, you know that you have to watch what? What elements do you have to watch? To watch carbs, because carbs turn into sugar. Not all carbs. You need simple carbs, but complex carbs, that's your potatoes, your bread, okay? Your white rice, your pasta, you know, and we don't see pasta growing in a field. I mean, you don't. It's created, right? And it turns into sugar. It turns into sugar. So you have to say, I'm going to have to eliminate some things. The cookie, cakes, and pies, we don't see them growing in the field either. But they make us what? Feel good. Okay, they make us feel good. So we have to use our spirit and find something else to make us feel good besides something that's going to kill us. Type 2 diabetes affects your heart. And people don't realize. You says, I have diabetes, but, you know, last month I had a heart attack. That's something separate. No, it's not. It's because you are a diabetic. It affects your heart. It will cause strokes, so that will affect your brain. It will destroy your kidneys. Okay? Now, it does a lot of other things, but those are the three things you know that's what it's going to attack. Now, we see on TV they have medications. Trust me, medications do not cure you. What will help your diabetes, and you can live your entire life with this disorder in check, is your lifestyle. What you eat, how active you are, that you are a leader in your disorder. That you are the one that knows more about you than the doctor. Is that possible? Oh, yes, it's possible, because we are all individuals, wonderfully made. But we are individuals. You have to know your numbers. What's your blood sugar? What's your hemoglobin? Anybody know? A1C. What's your weight? What's your blood pressure? These are all numbers that are important. Is this going to happen overnight? No, this is a lifestyle change. And it's something not just the diabetics have to do. Everybody has to do. You don't want your grandchildren, your children looking at you going to McDonald's every day, so then that's where they go. And so they end up 14 years old with type 2 diabetes. We have to cook in our homes. We have to do it. You have to know what's in your food. So, how to manage your weight? You have to make changes. So, sometimes because our mind is so tricked by media, by our family, by our culture, we have to take it step by step. So what do we do? A lot of diabetics consume most of their sugar through drinks. Okay. So what kind of drinks? Pop? Mm-hmm. Excessive juice? What else? Smoothies, okay? Coffee with loads of sugar in it, okay? I do look at those and think, oh my God, do they know that is 3,000 calories and about 2 cups of sugar? Okay, you just wasted your, a week worth of nutrition on a coffee that you paid $6 for. And I'm thinking, mind, does that make sense? For me, it doesn't. But a lot of people say, ooh, I had that smoothie. Ooh, I feel good. And I just think it's the devil. Ray say it's not the devil, Sylvia. It's not the devil. It's not the devil. And I just think it's the devil trying to destroy us all. We got a purpose. We got more to do on this earth than eat and consume and risk our own health. Is that true? Okay, so the first step, and I want you all to make a commitment. Drink water. Drink water. It doesn't really have to be bottled water. You can get a filtered container and filter your water. Because you can spend a lot of money on bottled water that they just got out of the tap. I mean, really, do you really know where they get the bottled water? From the tap. And your city water has more regulations than your bottled water. People don't know that. City water has more regulations than the bottled water. So we want to drink water. Now let's say, I've heard many people say, I don't like the taste of water. I've heard that. Put some lemon in it. Don't put sugar and make lemonade. Hey, that's what people do. Huh? Cucumbers are good, yes. What do they call that when you put cucumbers and different things in the water jugs? Diffused water, infused water. I mean, that's fine. Don't get carried away and put a bunch of strawberries in it. What are strawberries? Okay. We know that fruit is good for you, but excessive fruit is sugar. Do you know that a serving for a diabetic, a serving of grapes is 8 grapes? 8 individual grapes. A lot of people say, oh, I might as well not eat that. You get used to eating 8 grapes, you'll get satisfied with 8 grapes. It's all a mind thing. Yes. Yeah, you can eat 8 grapes a day. Within a balanced meal. Now, so have you ever seen those paper plates that have the dividers? My suggestion is if you either use small plates like they had in the old days, or use the divider plates for portion size. The key is some people will weigh their food, but a serving is the size of your fist. That makes it easy. So if you have, let's say, some potatoes, should be the size of your fist on your plate. Now, we know potatoes is a what? It's a starch. It's a carb. It has to be balanced out because it's going to turn into a sugar. Also, cauliflower. Cauliflower is a carb. It is a vegetable, but it is a carb. It eventually will turn into sugar. Okay? So, we don't have to do tricks. You don't have to go and buy everything that's cauliflower because at the end of the day, you still have carbs. So you have your plate. Let's say, let's do breakfast first because people want to know, how do I do this? Okay. You have to be very mindful. You have to be mindful. In order to do this, you have to think, what am I going to eat? And believe me, I think what I'm going to eat. And I'm a person that can eat the same thing every day. Not everybody's like that. How many of you can do that? Good. If you can eat the same thing every day, you pretty much have it made. So for your breakfast, you need a protein. What breakfast food is a protein? Eggs, okay? Don't eat a fried egg. The minute you put in the skillet and put the grease in there and fried it, what have you done to that protein? You've added a fat, and you've messed that up. So how do we prepare that egg then? A poached or a boiled egg. So we've got a protein, okay? So let's say you like a meat for breakfast. What kind of meat should you have that isn't high cholesterol? A turkey sausage or a turkey bacon. Portion size. You can have 5 pieces of turkey bacon. Yes? It is salty, so you got to watch it. If you have turkey bacon, you can only have 1 piece. And if you don't like it, I would just avoid getting that as a sub. You know what you can eat for breakfast? Chicken. There's nothing wrong with having chicken for breakfast. Sliced turkey. Right. Not fried chicken. Not fried chicken. But, Tyson chicken, without the skin and all of that, you can make that for breakfast. So we've got the protein. We got an extra protein with a little meat. Now, you can just skip the meat and have the egg, and you've got your protein. So what else would you have for breakfast? You can have the 8 grapes, okay? Or you can have part of an orange, not a whole orange, but half an orange. Orange juice. You can have orange juice, but the portion size has to be minute. Do you see those little cups back there? That's the size. 4 ounces. Okay? And understand, juice gets in the body quick. Yes? Yes, they do. They're just not as ripe, but they have the same sugar content. Uh-huh. Yeah, they're just not good strawberries. It's strange how when you get strawberries, you need to go to a farm market because a lot of the grocery stores have these bland strawberries. Right. Yeah. Right. And if you get the huge strawberries, you can only eat 3 of those at the max. The little baby ones are better. You can have like 8 of those. So you have to be very conscious of fruit. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't good. Right. Yeah. So if you know where a market is, that's a good way of getting your things. So we get the balance. Now, if you are diabetic, and even if you aren't, we all think we're supposed to just eat 3 times a day. It is more preferable if you eat 5 times a day, but very small meals. What you're trying to do is level out your blood sugar. They got a commercial talking about the guy is in the plane and he's just level out. But they're talking about a drug that helps you do that. You can do that naturally with your diet. So that means you cannot go long periods of time without eating. Because guess what happens? Here you are. For breakfast, you did well. Then you got busy at your job, and 12 o'clock came, and you didn't eat. Okay. So what happens? What happens with your blood sugar when you don't eat? It takes a dive. So then you feel lightheaded, you feel funny, you know you got to eat, and then you go eat, and then you probably eat more because you're hungry, and it spikes up. Okay? Then it spikes up too high, you go over the limit, and once you go over, the blood sugar goes over the limit, you have tissue damage. Okay? When there is too much sugar in your body, you have tissue damage. Just like remember when you were kids, you used to take strawberries and put sugar all over them? And you had to eat them right away? Because if you didn't, they were what? Mushy and slimy. That's what we're doing with our body if the blood sugar is too high. Yes? Right. Good. Be very mindful, like she said, and be controlled about it. I'm very controlled about my lunch, that every job that I worked at knew 12 noon, I'm eating lunch. World could be coming apart. They go straight to the lunchroom and look for me. Oh, let's go find Dr. Ruff. Okay. Because even if you're not diabetic, if you don't eat, your blood sugar goes down. You can't think. You're not at your best. This is not just for people who suffer from diabetes. Because you'll go home and your family said, I don't have to eat like that. I'm not diabetic. Okay. That's not true. This is a healthy diet. You will have healthy weight if you eat this way. Okay? Genetics. We know we can't change genetics. So in my family, both my grandmothers were diabetic. So I can use that as an example. I can't change genetics, so I know I genetically could be a diabetic. My mother genetically could be a diabetic. She is one of her sisters that never got diabetes because she was very conscious of food and how she served it and how she ate until she's 91. Okay. And she's had health concerns, but her body is strong enough to fight it off. And that's the key. That's the key. That's the key, keeping yourself healthy. So with these 2 grandmothers, One lived to be 89, and one lived to be 62, and I never saw her. She died when I was an infant, so I didn't experience her. And my mother told me about her, and she said, Sylvia, your dad's mom had diabetes for so long that she went blind, and she was undiagnosed. She says, I took her to the doctor, and the doctor said, if this lady has had sugar so long, she's blind. Okay, so she lost her sight, and she lived to be 62. And if you saw pictures of her, you would think she was 80. She was only 62 years old. My other grandmother, she lived to be 89 with diabetes. She lost both her legs. I never saw her with legs. Back then, they didn't have the medical knowledge that they have today to save your limbs if you have diabetes. So once you had peripheral vascular disease and your toes start turning colors, they just start taking your foot and then your leg and then all the way up, okay? But her daughter started cooking for her, started taking care of her in a different way, and she survived. And she was 89, you survived. So two people with diabetes, one lives their life out, not without complications, but she lived her life out. So this is what we have to tell people. This disorder should not impact your life and doesn't have to take your life. But if you play games with your mind and your body and your spirit, it will. You guys have taken the first step. You acknowledge you've got to do something. You acknowledge that it's a lifestyle change, and you're working on it. The people that aren't here, that already have diabetes, and we know it, they're walking around pretending like we don't know it. We know it. You got to know it, and you've got to make a difference. And what do? We got to eat right. 5 times a day, balanced meals, put snacks in your purse so that if you do have a demanding job that's not going to let you go to lunch on time, you have balanced snacks in your purse. Celery, nuts, carrots. Put them, even though they're sweet, balance it out. Okay? It's a myth that you can't eat a little piece of cake. The problem is your mind. Okay? If you know yourself that you're not going to eat this much of cake, that if you get that whole cake on your plate, you're going to eat the whole thing, then you don't need to eat cake. You have to know yourself. Because you're eating a healthy diet. A healthy diet doesn't mean you can't have a little piece of cake or a cookie every now and then. But if you know you have no control, don't do it. Yes? Yeah, those are good. Right. The problem with that is I think they're like $4. I mean, they're expensive. Can't you take a plastic bag and put... Read. I mean, it's the truth. It's the truth. Right. Right. Yes. And then reward yourself like, oh, man, I made my packet, and I'm going to take $3 and put it in the piggy bank and go buy, and then by the end of the week, I can buy a dress. Okay? It's all we reward ourselves with food, but that food does not reward us. Okay? Food is not worth your health. Okay? It's not worth your health. It's not worth your health. So, Recommended foods are on this sheet. Healthy carbs, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes such as beans and peas, low-fat dairy products such as milk and cheese. Avoid unhealthy carbs and the drinks, added fats, sugars, and sodium. So don't buy canned soup. It's full of salt. Make your own soup, okay? It tastes better anyway. I noticed that most of the food that I make or Ray makes tastes better than the restaurant. I'll go to the restaurant and be disappointed. I'm like, what is this? Disappointed. But we have gotten out of the habit of cooking. We have gotten out of the habit of cooking, and we fall in the track of media. Yes. No. No. We don't. Almond milk is good if you're going to have milk. Skim milk. They have some some milks that they've made that I don't know what it is. So you have to do the label. What's that milk that takes the lactose out? How do they do that? I would have to research how they take the lactose out of the milk. How do they do that? Do they make new cows? I mean, do they? I mean, it's possible. Genetics. Yeah. Right. Right. So really read your labels. Like if you didn't get this one, get this one. If it has a label on it, read the label. Make sure the salt intake is low. Make sure it doesn't have a lot of carbs. I think they got these. And if you didn't, just after I'm done, just come up and get it. So, yes.
What about 2% milk, whole grain Cheerios with almonds and nuts and fruits in it, and a packet of sweet one, which is it's not sweet and low, it's like stevia.
Stevia. The artificial sugars, do you know what you can do? Okay, the Cheerios is fine. Make sure you have that portion control. Not a big bowl, a small bowl, a bowl like this. Okay? If you would do half a teaspoon of sugar, you'll be okay. I mean, you don't have to spend the $5 on the Speedia, whatever. Portion down that sugar. And so far as the fruit, if you're going to have fruit, forget the sugar. Okay? So you have to take in your hand, you would have about 10 blueberries and put them in the Cheerios with your milk, and then you've got a good dish. But a lot of fruit, plus the Speedia, plus not paying attention to the amount, you might as well just ate a piece of cake. I know that sounds strange, but it's the truth. The sugar makes you itch. Then use the fruit. Use the fruit. Okay? The artificial, and we're going to talk about the artificial products. I had an issue with the blue package. What is that called? Aspartame. As a young woman, because they had some lemonade made of it. What's that lemonade that had aspartame in it? Huh? Crystal Light. There was a Crystal Light binge. Everybody was drinking Crystal Light. So I had a hold of Crystal Light, and I was drinking it. And then, I started having a headache. I'm like, why do I have this headache? And I wasn't a headache person. So then I said, what am I doing new? nurses always assess and try to figure out things. And I said, oh, it's that Crystal Light. So I stopped drinking the Crystal Light and the headache went away. Then I have to research. Has this happened to anybody else? Come to find out, people were having strokes from the aspartame. There was lawsuits out. I started going to seminars about it. So they don't know how long aspartame stays in your body. I think Expedia is made from sugar, but I don't get it. If it's made from sugar, just use the sugar. I don't understand that. So the key is we have to think these things through, but I will tell you aspartame is dangerous. Sweet and low is supposed to cause cancer, but it caused cancer in rats, and they fed them large amounts. But people do overdo everything. They really do. You will see people put 8 packs of stuff in one thing. I mean, you really will. So my advice, always research what you are consuming. And when you find it affects you a different way, let it go. Let it go. No, don't use it. Yes. Yes. Good. Yes, good. The use of these little technology we held in our hand. Yes, do the conversion through the phone. Yes. Uh-huh. And you can taste it. Right, right. Or, basically what she's saying is smaller amounts dissolve it all, because otherwise it goes to the bottom of the cup. And a lot of times we still drink that bottom of the cup. Yeah, yeah. Yes, it's only 8. It's 8, 8, 8. It's 8. It's amazing how fast the sugar content will go up. But it's also amazing how you will get used to this diet. I eat that way. It is easier because at first I did the Daniel fast for 21 days, and it was very intense. But I made the Daniel fast in 21 days, so I had no caffeine, I had no meat, I had no sugar, I had no carbs for 21 days. And I made it. I have since lost 13 pounds. I don't crave the things I used to crave. It changed. It changed. And we went to a Japanese restaurant, and I got the stir fry, and it wasn't my stir fry. And I said, I don't like this. So whatever they added, I could taste it because I've taken things out of my taste buds. So you will change. You will feel better. I noticed that I'm less anxious. Then I thought, oh my gosh, maybe sugar causes anxiety. I don't have carbs. I haven't had pasta in months. And I used to love pasta. So I don't eat it anymore. Yeah.
I just bought a big bag, and I'm having a little bit left over from the bag.
Uh-huh.
So I love mash, I love baked, I love fried.
Well, skip the fried and the French fries and the potatoes portion size and balance out. I guess our time is going down. One more question over there. That depends on the person, okay? I would say, when I say balanced meal, if you got a plate and you got 2 carbs on it, that's too many. Okay? That's the key. And that is, I would avoid complex carbs. Now, she said potatoes. You've got to be real careful with potatoes. So that's portion size. So if you're going to have potatoes, you only have it once during the day, because it's going to turn into sugar and mess you up. Okay? Avoid the fried potatoes, because that's just an empty nutrition. That's empty. It's not going to help you at all. If you're going to have rice, pick brown rice. It is a better carb. And sweet potatoes is better. Yes. Black rice, right, 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 right. I never had black rice, but brown rice is good. Kiwan. You guys heard of kiwan? That's good, because I start eating that too. So try different foods. A lot of times we'll say, I love this, and I learned to try different things. I'm going to tell you about this one little recipe, and then we're going to stop, because we have to go. We got 5 minutes. And I just created it. I do like to cook. So I hated beans. I'm going to be honest. But I had no protein, so I had to eat what I had to eat. So we had a can of black beans. So I took those black beans. I said, okay, I'm going to change the taste of these black beans. So I mashed them, put them in the blender. I put some cayenne in it, other seasoning in it. And then I said, I'm going to make me some stuffed green peppers. So I cut the peppers in half, just like I'm making stuffed peppers. I laid down the beans as like the meat. Then I put the brown rice and the tomatoes and all the seasonings in it, closed it up, baked it. Ray, how was them stuffed peppers? It's good. It had onions in it, too. It, yeah, it was brown rice. Yeah, right. Right, right, right. Well, I think I think we had a great time here, and we got a lot of knowledge in it. And now, thank you. So those sheets that I gave you, I want you, if you have just one, get some more, if we have any more left, because I want you to give them to someone else. There's so many people that need to be here, and I pray that they watch the video. And can we make a difference out of this disorder, right? Make a difference out of everybody, because we all need to eat this way, right? All right. Thank you.